Was there a reason the murder had to be done on the day that it was done? Where did he get the information?
From Katie.
How did she know?
Wendi.
You think Wendi talked to Katie and told her Dan Markel's travel plans?
The woman who wanted him to be killed was Wendi Adelson, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Donna Adelson and Harvey Adelson, you see those on the top?
Yes, ma'am.
I asked you, as far as you know, were they involved in any of this? And you said no, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Wendi Adelson could be in the hot seat. She's expected to take the stand against her mama, Donna. So will she throw her mom under the bus? Plus, the Menendez brothers' lawyers speaking out after the convicted siblings were denied parole. So were the hearings rigged? And rapper Cardi B is heading to trial. She's fighting a lawsuit claiming that she attacked a security guard. We're getting you all ready for the opening statements in her assault case. Also this hour, baby Emmanuel Haro's parents arrested and charged with his murder. We'll have the latest developments for you out of California as these two defendants are making their first court appearance tomorrow. It's all coming up next for you right here on Opening Statements. Good Monday morning to you and welcome to Opening Statements. I'm Julie Grant. I hope you had a wonderful weekend. We certainly missed you and we're glad to see you this morning. We've got a huge day on Court TV and a great show to get things started. So let's kick it off as we always do. Grab that cup of coffee or tea or hot water with lemon, whatever you like in the morning. It's time for my opening statement. I hope she brought the right clothes. Wendi Adelson better have some flame-resistant pants because she will be in the hot seat. Those Florida prosecutors are going to grill her like a steak. And when her examination is over, like a steak, she'll likely be well done. Hitman Luis Rivera told the jury that Dan Markel's murder had to happen on July 18th, 2014. Why? Well, because Wendi told Catherine McBanoa that Dan would be leaving the next day and wouldn't be home. Luis Rivera at the time only knew that Wendi was the lady in Tallahassee who was trying to get her kids back. Wendi was losing the custody battle for her children, who she wanted to relocate to Miami, where Mama Donna, Harvey, and Charlie were all living. Wendi clearly had the most to gain from Dan Markel's murder, and I think it's going to get really uncomfortable in the courtroom today, my friends, when Wendi is scheduled to testify against her mama, Donna. We know she already testified against her brother, Charlie, and now she's going to turn on her own mother. Wendi's like the Fredo of the Adelson family. She's actually kind of a combination of Fredo and Tom Hagen. She's the family lawyer and really smart like Tom Hagen, but unlike Tom Hagen and very much like Fredo, she has no loyalty, and she took sides against the family. It didn't turn out well for Fredo, and I don't think it'll turn out well for Wendi. I think criminal charges are in her future, and I think Mama Donna's trial will get the authorities there. That's my opening statement. Let me know if you like it. Right now, it's time for your daily docket.
I was just sitting there staring at my phone. But that was whenever Dylan was pulling up to take that turn. And yeah, I was looking down at my phone. Dylan was just like, "You see headlights?" I'm like, I look up. Nope, I don't see any headlights. Dylan makes that turn, sitting there still looking at my phone, put my phone down, look to the right, see headlights, next thing I know, I wake up at Grady.
In Georgia, the defense case begins in the speeding trooper homicide trial for defendant A.J. Scott. Court's going to start up at 9 a.m. Eastern. In Florida, we've got rapper Cardi B's assault trial beginning at noon Eastern today. This is the civil case. Opening statements expected after the jury selection wraps up. A security guard is suing her, accusing her of assaultive behavior. And in Florida, Mama Donna Adelson's murder trial resumes this morning. Attorneys meeting at 8:30 a.m. Eastern ahead of the testimony. And that is, of course, our top story this morning. Wendi is set to take the stand today. She was spotted in the courthouse on Friday. Before she could take the stand, prosecutors called Luis Rivera, the first person in the conspiracy to flip on the others. And we learned why the murder had to be done on July 18th, 2014.
Was there a reason the murder had to be done on the day that it was done?
I believe so. I believe he was about to leave.
Who was about to leave?
Markel.
About to leave town?
Yeah.
How did you get that information?
I got it from Tudo,
Where did he get the information?
from Katie,
How did she know?
Wendi.
You think Wendi talked to Katie and told her Dan Markel's travel plans?
Yeah.
Did you know who Wendi was at the time that all this happened?
No, ma'am.
Okay, but you did know there was a lady that you were helping get some kids back in Tallahassee.
Yes, ma'am.
So Wendy's alleged involvement seems to be trickling into the testimony. So what can we expect when Wendi takes the stand? How is this gonna go? I want to bring in two of the trial attorneys that are two of my favorite ones to watch try a case, and you've seen them both trying a case here on Court TV Live in the cases we've broadcasted for you. Let's bring in now criminal defense attorneys Jessica Mashali and Mario Gallucci. Good morning to you both. What a day this is gonna be. Could go really well, could go really bad. What's your predictions on what this is going to be like when Wendi gets up there, called by the state of Florida to testify against her mama, Donna? Jessica, start us off, please.
Well, I think it's always kind of entertaining to hear from Wendi. She has very little credibility. She's almost kind of awkward on the stand with the things that she says and doesn't say. But I think that, you know, it's interesting that Wendi is willing to flip on all her family members, but so far none of them are willing to flip on her. And sometimes I wonder if it's all sort of just a little game, like Wendi goes as far as she needs to in order to save herself, but isn't also going to directly incriminate them. And maybe underneath it all, she's actually trying to help them.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it, Jessica. She goes just far enough. I can't imagine that this family is at all functional and happy and loving at this point in time. I think it is fractured beyond repair, but that's, you know, what do I know? Mario Gallucci, your thoughts. How's it going to be when Wendi gets called today, perhaps, this morning, perhaps?
I completely agree with Jessica. She is, she goes just about as far as she could possibly go. She tries to remain neutral. You got to remember, she's very, very bright. She's well educated. She's a professor. So she knows how to speak. She knows how to answer questions. And she goes just about as far as she can to make sure she doesn't hurt anybody. And essentially, she's never hurt herself. She's always distanced herself from all of this, that she was the mother who was being, it was a tragedy that the children weren't allowed to live with her in Miami, and she had to stay in Tallahassee in order to be there. And she's maintained that, and she's maintained the fact that, the family was upset by that, but that she had nothing to do with how Dan's demise came about. And that she doesn't really know about the family plot. And then, her brother, in her brother's trial, she testified about him joking often about, hiring a hitman, especially when it came to the television. So she goes just far enough without actually doing too much damage.
Mm-hmm, right. I agree with you, Mario. Both of your assessments are excellent. And let's take a trip down memory lane, shall we? Wendi, this is in Charlie's trial, talking about some of the nice names her mama Donna would use for her ex-husband.
Did your mom call Dan any disparaging names around this time frame?
Well, I just read them in the emails, but I don't remember them independently.
Okay. Did she call him
Yes.
a narcissist?
Yes.
A bully?
Yes.
Religious zealot?
Yes.
perfect example of exactly what you two are saying. You know, how I've got amnesia, I just don't quite remember. And then she's got to make the admissions on the stand because she's being confronted with them. Jessica, tell me, do you think that Charlie has any regret? Now I'm looking back at I think Charlie Adelson never thought he would be convicted. I think he thought he could walk with all this. And I wonder if he regrets not throwing Wendi under the bus anymore.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think he regrets a lot how he proceeded in the case with so many different things. You could just see that he did not think he would be convicted. They do not understand how serious the evidence is against them. I don't think Donna understands it either. And I wouldn't be surprised if we see a change in Charlie. Even once you're convicted and you're sentenced to life, if the state attorney wants to, they can still bring you back depending on what you're willing to do for them. So that is definitely still a possibility.
Yes, Jessica, thank you for that. And he has been transported. He's in the Leon County Jail with Mom and with his former girlfriend, Catherine Katie McBanawa. It's a little reunion going on there, so we'll see what he says. I've got a clip of Luis Rivera. He really stole the show on Friday as an incredibly powerful witness. Let's listen to some of what he says about Wendi being the one who wanted Danny Markel dead.
And the woman who wanted him to be killed, past you and Sigfredo and Katie, the woman who wanted him to be killed was Wendi Adelson, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
It was she wanting her children, correct?
Absolutely.
And then I said, if you would, put the number 5 next to the lady that wanted the man killed. And did you do that?
Yes, I did.
And was that with Wendi Adelson?
Yes, I did.
And then I asked you if the 2 people on the top of the page who have their pictures there and the names Donna Adelson and Harvey Adelson, you see those on the top?
Yes, ma'am.
I asked you, as far as you know, were they involved in any of this? And you said no, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, Mario Gallucci, do you like this strategy from defense counsel?
She did a great job. She really did a great job, but she also got away with a lot. I mean, there were a lot of objectionable questions in there, you know, especially the questioning where they're asking about, well, how did you know that this date? Well, he found out from his co-defendant. And how did the co-defendant find out? From Katie. Well, that's objectionable. And how did Katie find out? From Wendi. Well, that's objectionable. And, you know, there's no tie to Wendi to Katie or Wendi to her brother. I haven't heard any of that testimony yet, but it's out there now. Now it's out there. It was never objected to by the prosecution. So the only way around that is for the prosecution now to come out and say that these conversations never occurred. And how they're going to do that, I don't know. I mean, are they going to call Charlie as a witness to say he had a communication with his sister and his sister said this is the day to do this, and then he said it to Katie, and that's how it all came about? So it's going to be a very interesting day to see how this goes.
Sure is. Great analysis from you both. Mario Gallucci, Jessica Mashali, stand by, please. We'll hit a break. When we come back, here's what's next.
My question is, where's Emmanuel? I want to know where Emmanuel's at. Whatever the situation is, I just want justice to be brought.
We do too. Baby Emmanuel's parents are now behind bars, though accused of his murder. The baby has yet to be found. His parents will be in court tomorrow. Plus, Lau Menendez also denied parole like his brother Eric. Their lawyer is claiming the hearings were rigged. What do you think? We'll talk about it when Opening Statements rolls on.
Matriarch of the Adelson family gets arrested.
Donna Adelson is facing charges of murder, the death of her former son-in-law, Dan Markel.
Prosecutors say a bitter child custody battle was the motive for the murder-for-hire plot. Now that Donna has turned into a defendant, what's next for the Adelson clan?
Now that the ship is really sinking fast, blood doesn't matter that much.
The Matriarch Mastermind Murder Trial. Live coverage today, only on Court TV.
How about popping it? They say I walk around looking like a compliment. Shut up, stop whining. Cardi still shining. Kept complaining, so I cop more diamonds and more archive. Vintage couture on me. I got more gold CA than John probably.
Fresh off dropping her new single, Imaginary Players, rapper Cardi B is also trending this morning, but for a more serious issue. She's heading to trial today for allegedly attacking a security guard back in 2018 in Beverly Hills while the rapper was 4 months pregnant. The security guard is claiming in a civil lawsuit that Cardi B, quote, violently hit her in the head and face, which left her with physical and emotional damages, all during the rapper's doctor's appointment. Court TV anchor Ashley Wilcott has more.
They call me Cardi, banging body, spicy mommy, hot tamale, hotter than a Somali, Ferrari.
Hip-hop artist Cardi B is accused of assaulting a Beverly Hills security guard in 2018. The rapper, whose real name is Belcalis Almanzar, was 4 months pregnant with her first child at the time of the alleged incident. Imani Ellis was working at an office building on Wilshire Boulevard when Cardi B arrived for a private doctor's appointment. The news of her pregnancy was not public at the time, and Cardi B was trying to keep it out of the tabloids. According to court documents, Imani Ellis claims Cardi B's attack was unprovoked and that Cardi B and one of her security guards struck her multiple times in the head, face, and body. Ellis also accused Cardi B of working with unnamed people to have all recorded footage of the incident erased. Cardi B denies the allegations and claims that Ellis told a friend on the phone that she was there and attempted to shoot a video of her. Ellis was fired after the incident and is suing Cardi B for assault and battery and intentional infliction of emotional distress. Cardi B is expected to testify in her own defense.
That was Ashley Wilcott reporting there. Opening statements are set to begin later today. Cardi B is expected to take the stand as well at some point during the trial. So what are your expectations for Cardi B in court? Let's ask our legal eagles that question. Still with me, Mario Gallucci and Jessica Mishali. All right, Mario, would you start us off, please? Tell us about your expectations for the singing superstar.
So Cardi B's lawyers actually have won a lot of this case already. They were able to keep out the psychologist who would have testified about any emotional distress suffered by the security guard. They were able to keep out the testimony from the police officer who responded. But most importantly, they were able to keep out any prior interactions, criminal convictions, any other things that Cardi B has been involved in over the years. As we know, she's been arrested, although she was acquitted, but none of those bad acts are going to come out at this trial. So it's going to be very difficult for the plaintiff in this case to prove a case. And as you know, it's a bifurcated trial. If they can't get past liability, they're not going to get any money here. So I think Cardi B's got a very good shot here.
Mario, thank you for that. Jessica, your turn next, please. Your expectations for Cardi B in court.
I agree with Mario with everything that he said. I think her attorneys are doing a phenomenal job. They've pretty much won the case for her, but I still go back to what I think I'll say, Julie, which is her credibility and whether or not the jury likes her. I think in general, she comes off as very real. She's very raw, and definitely like that about her. But I think it depends on whether the jury believes her or not, because the jury knows that she has this legal team. They know she has all the funds in the world. They know what she can do to defend. But I think that they're going to need to see whether or not they actually believe her, and also how this alleged victim, the plaintiff, comes off and whether or not they believe her.
Sure. Appreciate that, Jessica. Yeah, we shall see. Again, a civil case. For anybody who wonders, this is a civil lawsuit. The allegation is assault. The question is going to be liability. Is she liable here? And lower burden of proof, as Mario and Jessica know, much lower burden than what we're used to seeing in the criminal trials we broadcast. Let's turn to a criminal case now. This is what's trending as well. The Menendez brothers, of course. Their attorney coming out slamming the California Parole Board after they went 2 for 2 against Eric and Lau, denying the convicted killer's chance at freedom last week. But that decision sparked a viral reaction from the brothers' attorney, Mark Garagos, on his Two Angry Men podcast.
I mean, it was obviously rigged. Anybody who watched it, talk to any, don't believe me, talk to any of the family members. The only person who attended that hearing who didn't think it was rigged was the DA's office. They didn't know. They were just method actors in a preordained script. This was nonsense.
Mark Garagos, remember, he's involved. He's involved in this. He's an advocate, one of the best advocates in the country, really, he is. And he's vowing to appeal to California Governor Gavin Newsom to try to essentially overrule the parole board's decision, right? The governor can do what's called clemency, and in this case, it would mean granting parole, okay? Clemency can be commutations of sentences, pardons, things like that. Eric and Lyle still have the option to petition the board in 18 months or apply again in 3 years for consideration. But in the meantime, surely they're going to go to the governor and see if they can get some help from him. Question that we have this morning for our legal eagles is, do you think the hearings were rigged, as Mark Garagos is saying? Jessica Mashali, your thoughts, please.
I think I would need more information about what he means. I think that people throw these terms around a lot. I hear it a lot, especially actually both in family court and in criminal defense. People think that people are paid off, that people are, decided ahead of time. People have a lot of conspiracy theories. I'm not saying it's not the case. I'm curious, genuinely curious to know more about what does he mean that they were rigged. I definitely don't think it was a good decision. I don't think it was the right decision.
Okay. Oh, tell us why, Jessica. I have a follow-up for you.
Justice for the Menendez brothers. That's what I think.
Really?
I think it's been too long coming, and that's what I think should happen.
Really? Okay, tell me more. You don't think they're in danger to society now? Because that is the ultimate question for the board.
Not at all. Not at all. I think that that's a joke to even say that or try to argue that or look someone in the eye and say that. They are not a danger to anybody right now. No.
All right. Mario Gallucci, to you next, please. Your thoughts on, was this rigged, as Mark Garagos believes it was?
Look, I love Mark. He is, as you just said, he's a very zealous advocate. And, he comes out punching. He just lost 2 hearings. And he's upset by that. And every defense attorney, the minute we lose a hearing, we come out with our public sentiment, our statement to the public, this is rigged. It's a rigged thing. The parole hearings, you don't win parole hearings generally. I do agree with Jessica, though, that I agree. I don't believe that they are a threat to society right now. They served an incredible amount of time. And throughout that whole time, they were not engaged in any violent acts. The only proof of any, bad act is they had an illegal cell phone while they were in jail. Every defendant in prison has an illegal cell phone. They communicate with the outside. They all do it, but there's been no violence by these 2 at all. They are eligible for parole again in 3 years. I doubt very much that they're going to be granted clemency here. Maybe in 3 years, if they're denied parole again, they'll be granted clemency. But, love Mark. He's really a good lawyer, very good lawyer.
Yeah, he really is. Let's talk about the idea of clemency. I do a radio show back in Pittsburgh, the Bubba Show, every Monday morning, and my friends on the show, the hosts, were saying, what exactly might this mean? What might the governor do? Can he still do something? Because I think this is one of the issues that really isn't talked about much. I think we were also focused on the parole board hearings, and Thursday, wait and see, Friday, wait and see, and now it's kind of like, okay. So as far as we understand it, he can still act. And he can still kind of override the board and grant parole for these guys. It wouldn't wipe away their convictions, but might he do that? What do you think he will or will not do here? Jessica, back to you.
I mean, it's really hard to predict what he would do. This case, because it has just so much attention, I thought probably months ago that maybe something would be done, but they keep getting knocked down. The Menendez brothers keep getting knocked down again and again. And I think it begs the question of why. And I don't know if it's sort of all culminating to now there'll be a different decision and then it will get this huge amount of attention, or if it's kind of rigged, quote unquote, and there's already been this decision kind of by everybody that they're not going to do anything for him. So I'm curious to see, but I'm thinking that maybe it won't go their way, unfortunately.
Mario, tell me what you think. What will the governor do?
So Gavin Newsom is, it's looking maybe that he's going to be running for president. You don't want to make a decision here that could, knock off some of the electorate. by granting these two guys clemency, he's going to get, these ads, political ads. They're going to show the brutal murders of mom and dad and say this is a man that released these two people, knowing that they are eligible for parole in 3 more years. I think he punts on this one. I don't think Gavin Newsom, goes into this at all. I think he leaves it alone and waits the 3 years and sees what happens then. You got to remember, if he's president of the United States, he could probably do something.
Yeah, maybe a pardon then or something. Who knows if he really wants to? But yeah, I'm with you, Maury. I don't think he's going to be inclined to do anything because of his aspirations politically. We will leave it there, but if anything else happens with the Menendez brothers, of course, we're going to talk about it. Mario and Jessica, stand by, please. We'll hit a break. When we come back, we're comparing the baby Emmanuel Haro case with the case of infamous child killer Susan Smith. The prosecutor who put away Susan Smith, you know him and love him, Tommy Pope, is joining us live to weigh in next. And court's expected to resume any minute now in Florida for Mama Donna Adelson. We'll take you to Florida for day 2 live.
Hesitate, just call.
His name's Emmanuel. He's 7 months. He's 7 months old.
Seemingly anguished parents Rebecca and Jake Haro pleading for their son's safe return. 7-month-old baby Emmanuel still hasn't been found, but his parents have both been arrested and charged in connection with his murder. They're also expected to make their first court appearance tomorrow. Court TV Crime and Justice correspondent Matt Johnson reports.
Julie, good morning. This investigation is ongoing. A dark turn in the case of missing baby Emmanuel. The parents arrested here at their home in Cabazon, California. Take a look at this video. It's happened at the baby's home on Friday in California. The mother, Rebecca Haro, hauled away in handcuffs near the vigil for her missing baby. The father, Jake Haro, also arrested, no longer cooperating with authorities. On August 14th, Rebecca Haro reported her son abducted from a Big 5 sporting goods parking lot in Yucaipa. That's about 30 minutes away from their home. Investigators say that they issued search warrants, searched their property, conducted several interviews, and tell Court TV this. It is believed that Emmanuel is deceased, and the search to recover his remains is ongoing. Our focus remains on finding baby Emmanuel. This all happening in a very tight-knit community in the desert. We spoke to many people who are very emotional and searching for answers. Take a listen.
I have kids of my own. I couldn't think of myself being a mother letting something like this slide. That's why I'm getting emotional, because I will do anything for my kids.
What are you hoping for at this point?
Like I said, probably justice, justice that they find the baby, God willing, they find him alive, and justice that these parents or anybody else who was involved get what they deserve.
Sheriff's deputies tell us that there is no outstanding arrests and no other arrests have been made. The parents being held without bond. Julie?
Our thanks to Matt Johnson for that report. Now, these parents, of course, remain cloaked in the presumption of innocence. Seeing how the story has played out so far, can't help but jog memories of another similar case.
I was stopped at a red light, and in a second, he was in my car. He just opened the car door, and I just screamed. I said, "What are you doing?" He said, "Shut up and drive."
Look for anything, any sign of evidence that might pertain to this case.
Susan Smith has been arrested and will be charged with 2 counts of murder in connection with the deaths of her children, Michael, 3, and Alexander, 14 months.
That's right, the Susan Smith case. I saw many people making comments about the similarities with how she lied to the public, just like this mother of baby Emmanuel appears to have lied. Susan Smith convicted of murdering her son, Michael, who was 3 years old, and her son, Alex, who was 14 years old, after initially claiming that they were kidnapped. She lied to her husband as well, lied to everybody, lied to the police, and then later on admitted to killing them. And this morning, we're shining our spotlight on the comparisons that people are making between these two cases, seeing these two mothers speaking out and pleading for public help. Let's bring in Attorney Tommy Pope, he's the one who famously prosecuted and put away Susan Smith, knows the case so well, still stays in touch with her husband to this day. Tommy, good morning to you. Curious if you thought of the Smith case when you saw baby Emmanuel's mom and dad out there pleading for help.
I was going to say that's the exact lead-in we had with Smith, with the plea, for the return of the child, or if anybody knows anything to help. And, it's human nature. I mean, I think the reason you saw the citizens gathered there, the reason you see the memorials, people pour their hearts out to care for each other. As bad as we talk about this world, when it finally comes down to it, people care. The flip side of that is when that turns to betrayal, as happened in Smith and has apparently happened here, people are just as angry as they were compassionate just, hours before. So I think, unfortunately, it's tragic. I will say this case has moved much more rapidly than Smith did. If you remember, we languished for days with Susan and the television and, calling for the return of the children. And it put a lot of pressure on the community. She had accused a black man. There was that search because everybody's looking all the time. And so I credit law enforcement in this case. As they move forward, sadly, it sounds like the child could have been missing up to a month. And I saw the part where they were searching with the father for the child. But, in the wilderness with the deceased body, the odds of finding it may not be good, sadly, for finding the little boy.
You're right, Tommy. Thank you for that. Let's take a look back at Susan Smith's plea for help to the public, and we'll take a look at what happened just a couple days ago with these parents.
I want to say to my babies that your mama loves you so much.
He was abducted last night from Big 5. Somebody struck my wife while she was trying to change his diaper. And we just ask if anybody knows anything to please contact Ukaipa Police Department.
Don't hesitate, just call.
His name's Emmanuel. He's 7 months. He's 7 months old.
Tommy, what do you think as you watch these clips?
Again, in normal circumstances, your heart goes out and you care and you want to do anything or know anything or look for things. But again, what compounds this is, and again, as you led off with, they're innocent till proven guilty, but what appears to compound this is the fact that while they're standing there doing that, they know exactly where that baby is or was and exactly what happened. And that's, like I say, the word betrayal, back with Susan, it just constantly pops into my mind. It's almost like I always said, if Susan had run to the house and said, I was suicidal and I made a horrible mistake, come help me, then you and I would probably never be talking about it. And I think it's somewhat similar with these children. Now, with this dad's history, it's probably less likely that he would receive a lot of understanding, based on prior situations with the other child. But I just think that betrayal, Julie, that's the word that comes. I mean, in addition, I hate to say it, I guess I'm numb to the horror of death itself and murders itself, but seeing this conduct, and if you get to the point of a jury seeing that, we're going to have a similar result that I think we had in Smith.
Yes, you're so right. And what you just said, betrayal, perfect theme for these prosecutors. If we get to the point of trial, we'll see if that's what they put forward. No greater betrayal than a parent allegedly harming their child, and that's what these two are accused of. They'll be in court again tomorrow, making their first appearance. We'll continue following it. And Tommy Pope, you're going to make another appearance with us. We're so glad you're going to be back with us for Court TV Live at 9 when we go to the Adelson trial. Thank you for everything on this segment this morning. Let's show you a live look as we head to break. Here's what's going on in Mama Donna Adelson's trial. Everybody is present, but court has not yet begun. Looks like somebody may be taking an oath. Okay, we're going to see what's happening there. We'll dip in live when we come back after the break. Don't go away. A famous entertainer facing an assault trial. A grandmother accused of murdering her former son-in-law. We're breaking down both cases before each day's proceedings.
Opening statements with Julie Grant. Mornings at 8, 7 Central on Court TV. Catch up on every episode of Court TV's original true crime series.
She killed my daughter, and he marries her.
Victim to Verdict with Ted Rollins. Marathon begins next Monday morning, 9, 8 Central.
Only on Court TV.
Welcome back to Opening Statements. I'm Julie Grant. I want to take you into the courtroom in Florida now, where Mama Donna Adelson's trial is kicking off for day number 1 of this week. So here, they started things off on the 22nd, so I guess we're in day number 3 here. Let's take a look at this proffer that's going on. So what this is the jury's not in the room. This is just the judge hearing this testimony from an investigator with the Leon County State Attorney's Office. So he's taking the stand, and he apparently has some information about the divorce proceedings between Wendi Adelson and victim Dan Markel.
Tab has the pleading, and then right behind that tab will be the supporting documentation associated with that tab.
That's correct.
All right, I want to draw your attention to tab JJ, which specifically contains page 441 through 456 of Dan Markel and Wendi Adelson's divorce pleadings. This is a pleading entitled what?
Former husband's counter motion for enforcement of MSA on parenting issues and motion for contempt and sanctions.
And is this the motion that we have referred to throughout preparation for this trial as the grandma motion?
Yes.
Is that because this is the motion in which Dan Markel is seeking to limit or restrict Donna Adelson's contact with his children?
Yes, it is.
Okay, so the language, grandma says that the kids are reporting to him, grandma says, you're stupid, that sort of thing, that's what's in this motion.
That's correct.
Okay. And on what date was this motion filed by Dan Markel?
March 26, 2014.
Okay. And is there an email predating that filing in which Dan Markel sends Wendi Adelson the content of what ends up in this motion, the allegations that end up in this motion, and outlines them for her?
Yes.
And was that email forwarded to Donna Adelson?
Yes, it was.
On what date was that email forwarded to Donna Adelson?
December 17th, 2013.
And is that email contained in State's Exhibit 60JJ.2?
Yes, it is.
All right. And was there a response to Wendi forwarding this stuff to Donna?
Yes, there was.
And what was the response?
Wow.
All right. And is there another email the next day in which Wendi forwards the parenting coordinator's response to Dan's allegations of grandparental alienation?
Yes, there was.
All right, and is that what the email that's marked as JJ.3?
Yes.
And this is the one that, for some reason, when we print it out, comes out in a big, weird formatting block?
Yes.
Okay, but this email was sent from Wendi to her mother?
Dear Mom and Dad. Yes.
Okay, and on what date?
December 18th, 2013.
Okay, and that's addressed Dear Mom and Dad.
That's correct.
And that contains the same allegations that are later contained in State's Exhibit JJ.
Yes.
Okay. And when the motion was actually filed on 3/26 of 14, do you have any evidence as to where Donna Adelson was located at that time?
Traveling to Orlando on her way to Tallahassee, Florida.
All right, so she wasn't forwarded the actual motion.
Not that we
right?
can tell.
Okay, and is that consistent?
One moment. Turn off the phones. Please continue.
And is her presence in Tallahassee when the motion was actually filed, or actually she was on her way at the time it was filed, consistent with why she might not have been forwarded that exact pleading when she was forwarded other pleadings?
Correct.
All right, no further questions, Your Honor.
Cross-examination.
Yes, Your Honor. Thank you. Good morning.
Morning.
The email JJ2 that is dated December 18th of 2013, that was sent to an email address shared by Donna Adelson and Harvey Adelson, correct?
Correct.
You don't know who responded wow, do you?
I do not.
And with respect to Donna Adelson driving from Orlando to Tallahassee at the time that the motion was filed on March 26, 2014, you don't have any evidence that that motion was shared with Donna, do you?
No.
Nothing further?
Going to redirect for investigator Newell.
In the research you did on all the filings preceding JJ, were many of those sent to the shared email address, donnaharvey@gmail.com?
Most of them, yes.
Okay. And in many of those, does Donna respond in a way that we can confirm that it's Donna Adelson responding as opposed to Harvey Adelson?
Wow was a common response from many emails signed Love Mom.
Right, but my question is, in a lot of them, do we have a pattern of Donna responding to those emails?
Yes.
And we have a pattern of her doing so such that we can say this one is Donna, not potentially Harvey.
That's correct.
Objection calls for speculation. Overruled, but if he is aware of the pattern through his investigation, he may testify competently on this point.
Meaning they're signed Mom.
Yes.
Or they say Dad and I, whatever, with context indicating Donna's the author as opposed to Harvey.
That's correct.
Nothing further, Judge.
You may step down, investigator. Any other witnesses or evidence to offer concerning the issue of the property?
No, Your Honor, not all we're learning about is that tab.
Mr. Zeldin, you may make any final argument concerning JJ of State 60.
Thank you, Your Honor. Your Honor, it's the defense position that the state's argument is entirely speculative. In Investigator Newland's testimony, he indicated that the pattern indicated that when Donna was responding to these emails with pleadings, she would sign it with her name, or she would indicate Dad and I. This response, JJ2, just says wow, exclamation point. As a result, Your Honor, it's our position that the state cannot establish a foundation for admission of JJ1, which is the March 26, 2014 counter motion that the state has nicknamed the grandmother motion.
Judge, the email was sent to a joint email that we can prove was routinely checked and responded to by Donna Adelson. She routinely checked and responded to emails specifically in reference to this divorce, and the pattern and totality of the testimony will show that she was the one that was primarily engaged in receiving pleadings, giving feedback on pleadings, even drafting and editing pleadings on Wendy's behalf. So I think the fact that the email was shared, and if the defense wants to point that out and argue that maybe it was Harvey that responded to this particular email, then they're free to do that. I think that goes to weight, not admissibility. I think it's important that the second time the email was shared, it was directed to Mom and Dad, and it was specifically directed to Donna and Harvey, so not just to Harvey.
The foundation for this item will need to be established. It sounds through multiple witnesses, both Investigator Newland and also through the testimony of Wendi Adelson. However, once the pattern has been demonstrated, I will find, based on this can be admitted if the pattern, in fact, does show that both either Donna Adelson or Harvey Adelson
would both respond from this email concerning.
All right, so it is coming in. If the state can make the establishment in front of the jury, it seems that they can based on the proffer we just saw.